What's going on, everyone? Mitesh here, and today we are going to be comparing these two phones right here, the Pixel 4 versus the Pixel 4a. And I want to see what they had to cut out from the Pixel 4 to make the Pixel 4a. What did they have to cut down to hit that $350 price point, and see whether it makes sense to pick up one versus the other. Let's talk about it. Alright, so let's start off by talking first of all about the price. So this one right here is a 128GB model. It's the only model that's available for the Pixel 4a, and it is $350. This phone is actually really hard to find brand new right now. Google has stopped selling this brand new, but I saw it available on Best Buy for the 128GB model for $650. So the price difference here is $300 between the two. So I really want to see, like, what is it that you're trading off for that $350? And we'll start off by talking about the just pure specs. So the Pixel 4 right here is rocking a Snapdragon 855, whereas the Pixel 4a has the 730G. Now, the Snapdragon 855 was the top chip you can get last year. The 730G is very much just a mid-range chip, not even a high mid-range like the 765G. It's just mid-range. But so in terms of just performance, this phone wins hands down. Like, just it's a faster chip overall, and if you are someone who plays a lot of games and stuff, this phone is definitely going to perform better. It's got a better GPU than this one does. But for normal day-to-day tasks, I found the 730G is absolutely no slouch whatsoever. Like, I've been using this phone and I've had zero issues whatsoever just using this phone normally. I've not seen any slowdowns except in one area, and that is picture processing. Now, we know Google applies a lot of processing to their photos to make it look the way it does. Then you really notice the processing times on this phone versus this one. Like in this one, processing is super quick. By the time I'm actually reviewing the picture, it's already processed and I can see the final image. On this one, if I take a picture, it takes a good couple of seconds to process it. So you're not gonna be able to review pictures right away. So that's the only place I notice the actual processing being a little slow on this phone. And that also may be aided by the fact that this has a special chip on it to aid with picture processing, whereas I don't think this one does. I don't actually know that for a fact. I should look this up, but I don't believe this one has the Pixel neural chip like this one does, so maybe that's part of the reason why photo processing just feels a little bit slower on this phone. But that is something, that's the only place that I've really noticed where this phone is slower than this phone. Now, obviously, gaming-wise, you're not going to get as good a performance on this phone. Like I said, it just doesn't have that good of a GPU like this one does, but that is what it is. In terms of other specs, both of these phones have 6GB of RAM, which is, I think, a good amount. It's good enough to run all the apps that I want to. It doesn't really kill anything in the background on either of these phones. It's been really great. You can get both these phones 128GB of storage. Sadly, this one actually only has 64GB, the one that I have, but you can get 128GB. On this one, that is the only option you have whatsoever. And one thing that still sucks, there is no expandable storage on either of these phones, but I mean, for comparing these two, hey, that's pretty much straight up just even. So that is that. So yeah, overall, in terms of specs, Pixel 4 wins hands down, but I don't think you're really gonna miss out on all the performance gains that the Pixel 4 has over the 4a. So that is just a trade-off that you have. Now, in terms of other specs, let's talk about the screens on these. So both of these are 1080p panels. The Pixel 4a, in my opinion, looks a little bit more impressive because it's really edge-to-edge screen. It's just got that one cutout for the hole punch. I just think it is a more impressive looking display than the Pixel 4, which has that top notch at the top. Now, in terms of looks, personally, I can go for either of these phones. I don't mind the top notch. I know it's weird, it's asymmetrical, but I think it's a distinct look. I think it works for the Pixel 4. The Pixel 4a looks a lot more generic, but I do love the way it looks. Like, I love the edge-to-edge screen. I think it looks really good. I have no problem with the cutout for the front-facing camera like some people do. So in my opinion, you can go for either of these screens. Now, in terms of actual screens, it's going to be a little bit hard to tell. I've turned the brightness up on both of these, and looking at it straight on with my eyes, the Pixel 4 screen is slightly brighter than the Pixel 4a. In terms of colors, they both look very, very similar. I want to show you guys what they look like, but I know that my camera is not capturing this correctly. Like, the Pixel 4a looks more washed out compared to the Pixel 4, but in real life, that is not the case. They both look very similar. So you'll just have to take my word for it for right now. In my opinion, the Pixel 4a, for the price, is a really, really good panel. They're both OLEDs, and I think, yeah, you're not gonna go wrong with this. Now, of course, you are stepping down on the fact that this is a high refresh rate screen. This can do 90 Hertz, and this one is stuck to just 60 Hertz. But unlike most other tech YouTubers, I'm gonna tell you that I don't actually think that's a big deal. Now, I think the 90 Hz display is a very nice display and it makes things a lot smoother. But the 60 Hz display on the Pixel 4a, I don't think anybody's really gonna have a problem with it. Like, once I got used to using this phone, I didn't notice that it was a slower refresh rate. So I honestly don't think anybody's actually gonna care. Like, if you're a normal person, you're not gonna care about the fact that this has a faster refresh rate than this one does. So yeah, and personally for me, I would rather just go ahead and go with the 60 Hz display just for the fact that battery life is gonna be better for it rather than the 90 Hz, because I personally just don't find that big of a difference between 60 Hz and 90 Hz. So, and maybe that's just me, but I personally think it's fine. All right, so we've talked about specs, we've talked about the display, so let's talk now about the back of the phone. And the first thing I want to talk about is color options. So Pixel 4, you've got 3 different color options. You've got the white one that I have here, you've got the coral, and then you've got the black. On the Pixel 4a, you've got black. That is the only option, and it's fine. Like, I understand it's a budget phone and this is being an only option actually makes more sense because you can cut down a lot on cost based on the fact that you're only making a single SKU of this available. It's a smart choice by Google. I just kind of wish they would pick a better color. Like, black here is just so boring, and it's just like, it's fine, but it's just such a boring color. This white to me looks super clean and super nice. This black, super boring. They have kept the accent power buttons, which I like a lot. I don't particularly love this minty blue. I like it's a nice color. I wish it was a little bit more pop to it, and I really like the coral color on here. Small thing, just aesthetically, I definitely prefer the Pixel 4 over the Pixel 4a, including that camera bump. The camera bumps on these, first of all, they're both relatively big. The Pixel 4 obviously is bigger since it has 2 cameras. The Pixel 4a just has a single camera in there, but yeah, I definitely think the one on the Pixel 4, the camera bump just looks better. So small things, just aesthetically, I think the Pixel 4 looks better. Now, fact is, you're probably gonna go ahead and throw both of these inside of a case, so it's not gonna matter whatsoever. Just like the fact that this is a plastic phone is not gonna matter because you're just gonna throw it inside of a case anyways. This being a glass phone, just my opinion, naked, this phone feels way better than this one does. But in terms of the fact that you're just gonna throw this in a case anyways, who cares? They both feel fine. And next up, let's talk about the other thing that's on the back of this phone that's not on the back of this phone, and that is the fingerprint reader. Guys, first of all, let me just say, Face Unlock on the Pixel 4 is fantastic. It works super well. But this is 2020, in the middle of a pandemic where we're all forced to wear masks. Face Unlock does not work with masks. And it is super inconvenient, especially when I'm at a grocery store and I want to look at my shopping list to unlock it and then have to put in my PIN every single time. Like, it's been so long since I've had to put in PIN for like unlocking my phone that it feels slow every single time. And I've made a habit of just turning off my screen and turning it back on by using the fingerprint reader or Face Unlock, and now that's just broken. Like, I have to put in a PIN every single time, and it is super annoying. Face Unlock is awesome, especially when I'm using like banking apps, will just lock me in immediately as soon as I open the app because they see my face. That's fantastic. But in 2020, I prefer the fingerprint reader over Face Unlock. And this thing is really good and it's really fast and it works consistently every single time. And like, that's just it. It's fingerprint readers. They're the new hotness now. Now, for the cameras, I'm actually going to be doing a separate comparison altogether. So just watch out for that video. I don't want to try to cram all of that into this video. So just know that it is coming. We'll be here soon. Next up, let's talk about build quality. So like I said, this thing is made of plastic, this thing is made of glass and aluminum. This one feels more premium, but this one actually feels pretty solid in the hand. So I'm not really worried about this one at all. I think it's a really nice feeling phone for the price. But yeah, that's pretty much in terms of comparison between the two phones. I definitely think for $350, you are getting the best value of any Pixel phone with this one. If you want something a little bit more powerful and you want that upper tier experience, then this is a better option for you. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, battery life. This thing has a bigger battery than this thing does, which is a real shame because this thing has a higher refresh rate display and things like that, which drain battery much quicker. So battery life, way better on this phone than it is on this. If you get the bigger version, maybe it'll be a little bit better on that, but in terms of battery life, this thing is a champ. So yeah, that is something else to know as well. But yeah, with that, that's pretty much it for this video. Like this one if you liked it, subscribe if you guys loved it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.